Lily's dishes are delicious. French onion soup is a perfect soup for a cold winter day, a perfect soup for a sunny day, a perfect soup for any day. And you'll be surprised how easy it is to make it. If you have flavorful beef stock and perfectly caramelized onions, you got yourself a tasty soup. Follow along and I'll show you how to get there. What do we need for French onion soup? Lots of onion. So I have your yellow onion, red, I have shallots, leek, and scallions. Okay, let's peel the onion. First thing I'll do, I will cut the ends. Just cut this end this way, and then when it comes to the root end, I will insert the knife in just a little bit, then carefully rotate the knife, and then cut the root end all the way through and then pull it out. Then I will take the knife and gently make an incision into the first layer and peel it off carefully. So this is one way to peel the onion. There is another way to peel the onion. You cut the ends the same way and again insert the knife, rotate and gently extract that root end. But then what I will do, I will cut the onion from pole to pole into two halves, and then the skin comes off even easier. So whichever technique works for you, stick with that one. Now when it comes to the shallots, cut both ends the same way, then make an incision through the first layer and then peels off really easily. I love using red onion in the French onion soup. It has a very nice color and texture. So the bigger the variety of onions you're going to use, the more complex the flavor. Every type of onion will bring their own flavor to the pot. So peel the red onion the same way as the yellow one. I find that the red onion has its layers more tightly packed together, which makes it a little bit more difficult to remove it. So be careful, don't slip and cut yourself. Leeks are part of the onion family. The best part of the leek is the white and the light green parts. At this point, I'm going to keep the root. It will help me hold the plant together while I chop it. Just need to trim the leaves a little bit. Due to the layered structure of the leek, I need to cut it lengthwise to expose the inside where I often find a lot of dirt. Let's take a look. See, what did I say? If you don't rinse it off well, you'll end up with dirt in your soup. And then when it comes to the scallions, just remove the tip and then you are done with the onions. They are nicely washed and ready to be chopped. When I cut the onion, first I cut it in half and then I'm going to cut it from pole to pole in thin slices. If I don't cut it that way, I find that the onion will be too long, too stringy. It's going to drip out of my spoon when I eat the soup and it becomes too messy. So it's always easier to cut it in smaller pieces. Then take the shallots, and because shallots are smaller, just cut them all the way through. And then cut the red onion the same way as the yellow onion. There is a lot of onions to be cut, so be prepared to shed some tears. Because literally I have here half a bucket of onion. Just take a look. But it's all needed because after all, I'm making French onion soup. Lastly, let's cut the leek. And as you can see, I left the root attached to the leek while I washed it, only because that helps keep the leaves together. Otherwise, you'll end up with a whole mass of leaves everywhere. So don't throw away the root until you cut the entire leek. And I'm going to put the leek in a separate dish. I'm not going to put it together with the onions in the same bucket because I will add it to the soup later in the process. Then take some extra virgin olive oil and place it in the pot and heat it up really well. Once it's hot, then it's time to add the onion. I will give it a good stir just to coat the onion with the oil, and then I would let it cook. But I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of salt and I want you to pay attention. See how much onion I have? The entire pot is almost full. By the time I'm done with it, by the time it's caramelized, I will be left with just a little bit. The longer it cooks, the more it will shrink. And when you get to the stage that you notice that the onion begins to stick to the bottom of the pot, then it's time to really pay attention and mix it frequently. Otherwise, it will burn very quickly, and that is the last thing you want. It looks darker, but it's not caramelized yet. We're getting there. I want to show you a trick. If you have too much oil in the pot and you want to get rid of it, just take a paper towel and carefully let it absorb the oil, then throw it away. But don't burn yourself. If you don't have much experience in the kitchen, use tongs to hold the paper towel so you don't get burned. And now look at my pot. Do you remember how much onion I had when I started? Look at it now. My pot is almost empty. And this is what caramelized onion looks like. Perfectly caramelized onion has an unbelievable flavor. And now it's time to deglaze it with some dry or extra dry sherry. So pour some sherry in the pot and cook it. As you cook it, the alcohol will evaporate and the flavor will remain, and that's what you want. Next thing I'm going to add is some homemade beef stock. If you don't know how to make homemade beef stock, I have a video of that. You must have good beef stock. Good beef stock gives you good onion soup. You cannot have a good onion soup without beef stock. You will notice that I don't put any herbs in my soup. That's because my beef stock has all of that. It's time to add the leek, and then I'm going to cook it for another 15 minutes. And here is my secret ingredient: 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinaigrette. Once I add the vinaigrette, I have to let it cook for the 15 minutes. And then in the meantime, I'm going to get busy toasting the baguette. I still have to come back and mix it occasionally, otherwise it will burn. Let's slice the baguette. Place it on the baking tray that is lined with foil. Take the melted butter and with the pastry brush, load up the baguette with butter. Soak it nicely. This will give so much flavor to that soup. And then place it in the toaster oven or an oven and toast it nicely. By the time the baguette is toasted, the soup is done as well. And now it's time to assemble it. And I have here some oven-safe baking dishes. They are single serving. Just have to fill it up with the soup. And then I have to take the baguette, put it on top. And finish with the cheese of your choice. I'm going to make some with Swiss only and some with Swiss and mozzarella. Then I'm going to put it in the oven just for a couple of minutes for the cheese to get melted. I like to put some foil under the plate to prevent the cheese from dripping in the oven and making a mess. And while the cheese is melting, I'm going to cut the scallions to garnish the soup. And I am ready to enjoy a nice bowl of French onion soup. It's definitely worth making it. Hope you try it, and thanks for watching.